Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So, Hare Krishna devotees, thank you all for joining today to remember and glorify His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu, one of the greatest devotees of Lord Narsinghadev of Mayapur. He departed from this world on the 4th May this week, on Tuesday. It is heartbreaking for all of us. Though he left us, but he will live forever in our memories and within our hearts as we remember him, remember his dedication and his divine activities. More importantly, his love for Srila Prabhupada. So with that, our dear Abhay Prabhu is going to glorify Pankajangari Prabhu by starting the program, kicking off the program. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Abhay Prabhu, over to you.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Om Agnan Timin Sajnanandana Salakaya Chakshu. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna devotees. Prabhu, we thought we'll just talk a bit about Pankajangari Prabhu and glorifying devotees and talking about them is directly in service of Krishna. And that is the reason why we glorify devotees because that is actually very pleasing to Lord Krishna. And especially devotees who are very dear to Krishna or who are absolutely in service of the Lord, glorifying such devotees, it's not for their benefit, but it's for our own benefit. Actually, it's mentioned that devotees purify the holy places. When Budira was once meeting Yudhishthira Maharaj glorified Vidura and he said that by holy places purify everyone because all the people with sinful activities go to holy places, holy dham, and they get purified there. But devotees are the ones which actually purify the holy dhams. So that is the potency of devotees. So by glorifying them, we are actually purifying ourselves and also our Krishna conscious gets more, we get more benefit in Krishna conscious. So with that said, Srila Prabhupada started this movement in 1965, as we all know, and slowly and steadily everyone started joining Srila Prabhupada in this movement and assisting Srila Prabhupada for pushing this movement of Krishna consciousness. In that same movement, that in the 1970s, two boys, one is both as initiated as Jananivas and Pankajangari Prabhu, who were born in England in the outskirts of London in 1944. They were twins. They joined this movement and they started assisting Srila Prabhupada. Of the two, Pankajangari Prabhu is the twin brother of Jananivas. Jananivas joined ISKCON in 1971, and Pankajangari Prabhu joined after him in a couple of years later. And they both served in the Sridham Mayapur for from 70s till today, till he left his body. So many of you may actually be knowing, at least heard of Pankajangari Prabhu recently after his leaving the body. But his glories are actually unlimited. In the sense, Srila Prabhupada, when he took them under shelter, once he was talking to Tamal Krishna Goswami, Srila Prabhupada was talking to Tamal Krishna Goswami, and he said, Tamal Krishna Goswami said that these two boys are like coming out of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada told this and then acknowledged that these two boys are not from this world. There is no comparison to these two boys. So Pankajangari Prabhu and Jananivas Prabhu were serving in Mayapur Dham. They moved from England to Mayapur Dham when they were just in teens and early 20s. And ever since there, they never even stepped out of India. Pankajangari Prabhu, in fact, after he left, the first time he stepped after starting to serve the temple in Mayapur, the first time he left was after 15 years of service in the temple. He was, when he joined, Mayapur was just a small village. In fact, it's just a village. If you were not maybe aware of that, it's just a small village in Bengal, when around 3 hours from Calcutta, and that place was so remote that no one would go there. No one would even dare to go there. But in fact, it was like people could see cobras and snakes, just rice paddy fields all over, and there was a small bhajan kutir where the whole movement Prabhupada started that in Mayapur. So, what to talk about Indians staying there, even sorry, rather Westerners staying there. Even Indians who were seasoned people who were staying in villages could not stay in that place. But just because of Prabhupada's order, just because of Prabhupada's instruction, Pankajangari Prabhu started serving in Mayapur. He used to say that when he first went to Mayapur, no one would even come there for weeks. There were maybe hardly few, 2 or 3 people, and then maybe 10, 15 devotees serving there. And but they never ever stepped out of Mayapur. So that is the dedication they showed to Srila Prabhupada, and that is what Guru Bhakti actually shows, how a pure disciple serves the instruction of the spiritual master. That's what we can learn from him. So one of the greatest contribution, or rather, Pankajangari Prabhu in this was in early 80s. All the devotees, after Srila Prabhupada left and everything, all the devotees decided to have Lord Narasimha as in a deity in Mayapur. Because in the early years, what used to happen is dacoits used to come, because all that Mayapur and that location was full of Muslims and dacoity region. Dacoits used to come regularly, and then they used to put grenades and bombs, and they used to harass the devotees. In fact, one of the devotees trying to save the deities lost his leg, Prabhupada disciple. But still, they fought the dacoits and everything. So, with so much of chaos happening, the devotees decided we should have Narasimha deity, Ugra Narasimha. And the Ugra Narasimha is considered that unless a person is a Naistika Brahmachari, then a pure Brahmachari, you cannot worship Ugra Narasimha. He's very potent and very powerful. In fact, if you see the Narasimha picture or the Narasimha deity in Mayapur, it's extremely ferocious. So all the devotees were wondering who would worship, because everyone was scared. Everyone knew they were not pure, their heart was not clean, and if you do any offenses in deity worship of Lord Narasimha is very strict on that. So Narasimha prayer is, one has to be very pure in their dealings and in their principles also, along with Krishna consciousness. So Pankajangari Prabhu and his brother, they decided, okay, we will serve, and from then on they were serving. So I'll just keep it short, and I'll share some couple of pictures that I have of Pankajangari Prabhu, and maybe we can take the program from there. Okay, I'll share the screen, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Can you all see, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, we are able to see.
Okay. So this is Pankajangari Prabhu worshipping the Narsimha Shila, and there is a later on at someday we can do a class or discussion on how Lord Narsimha came to Mayapur. That's a story in itself. I mean, like it's an miracles. We always think that miracles happen in the past yugas, but if we hear the stories of Lord Narsimha, the miracles that Lord Narsimha has done, I mean, hairs will stand on our body actually. They're so, and they were so nicely being served for the last 40, 50 years by the devotees. So that's Pankajangari Prabhu again. He's the one who, he and his brother are the one who actually set the standards of worship, of deity worship. They imagine they're from UK, London, and they are now they set a standard how to worship Shilas. So that is the amount of dedication they had. So this is where Pankajangari Prabhu is teaching the new disciples or brahmacharis how to worship. This was when they were young, and only few of the devotees from foreigner devotees were there in Mayapur, and they would just go along and do street sankirtan, and that's a picture from an old time. And this is Pankajangari Prabhu and Janani was the twins when they were young brahmacharis, and the old another picture on the right side is well, later years. He was a very fun-loving person, and in fact, it's mentioned that all the kids would, though he's a brahmachari, Naistic brahmachari from his childhood, he's never married. The only thing he did was service to the deities and Mayapur, and all the kids and the cows, he would just play with them as if it's a home. So this is the picture from today. They were doing memorial service for Pankajangari Prabhu. This is Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada's Guru, and Pankajangari Prabhu in the middle, where they were worshipping him. So that is the glories of Pankajangari Prabhu they were doing. So that's all I had. With that, Prabhu, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Abhishan Prabhu, for a wonderful, glorification of His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu, and also nice pictures you showed, and we are able to relate to what you have been saying. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So next we'll go to the next segment of the agenda, which is we are going to do Bhajan and Kirtan. Our dear Abhay Prabhu and Rohini Mataji will be conducting the Bhajan and Kirtan. Abhay Prabhu and Rohini Mataji, over to you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, devotees. So we're gonna sing a bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur, Jay Anilo Premadhana. Jay Anilo Premadhana Karuna Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur Kaha Mora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatana महादास रघुनाथ पतित पावन
रामदास रघुनाथ पतित पावन
कहाँ मोर भट्ट जुग कहाँ कबीरा
मोरा भट्टा जुगा कहाँ कविराज
एक काले कोठा गेला गोरा नटरा
एक काले कोठा गेला गोरा नाटरा
आषाढी कुटिबो माथा अनले पशिबो
आषाढी कुटिबो माथा आनले पशिबो
गौरांग गुणेर निधी कोठा गेले पावो
गौरांगेरा गुणानिधी कोठा गेले पावो
से सब संगीर संगे जे कोई लोविना
सब संगीरा संगे जे कोई लोविलास
से संग न पाया कांडे नरोत्तम
से संगना पाया कांदे नरोत्तम दास
जे अनिलो प्रेमधन करुणा प्रचुर
जय नीलो प्रेमाधना करुणा प्रचुर
हेनो प्रभु कोठा गेला आचार्य
नो प्रभु कोठा गेला आचार्य ठाकूर
जे अनिलो प्रेमधन Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, Abhay Prabhu and Rohini Mataji, for a nice bhajan and kirtan
Thank you so
in,
much.
in glorifying Pankajangari Prabhu. Abhay Prabhu, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Hare Krishna devotees, Jai Srila Prabhupada. His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu was a dearmost servant of Nrsingadev at Mayapur. He came to Mayapur in 1974. At that time, he received his second initiation and engaged in assisting his brother Jai Nivasa Prabhu in deity worship services on the orders of Srila Prabhupada. He served Sridham Mayapur ever since then, which is more than 40 years. What a dedication to obediently follow the order of a spiritual master. I was thinking and I remembered this song, Achyutam Keshavam, and I was thinking that this song signifies the mood the Supreme Lord reciprocates to the desires of his pure devotees. For example, in that song, it is referred that Lord Krishna sleeps when Mother Yashoda puts him to sleep. In Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.63, Lord says, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Aham Bhakta Parathino Yaswatantra Iva Dvija Sadhu Birgrasta Radayo Bhaktair Bhakta Jana Priya. The translation is, the Supreme Personality of God said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the cores of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. So, Supreme Lord interacts with pure devotees. He reciprocates to the desires of pure devotees. There are so many incredible accounts of Lord Nrsimha Dev's personal dealings with His Grace Panchakangri Prabhu. And why not? For so many years, he faithfully served Lord Nrsimha Dev with a single focus. There is definitely reciprocation. One time, when a devotee asked him about the essence of deity worship, he replied as follows, quotes, "You have to understand what you are dealing with. The deity is not just wood or stone. If you think like that, it's because you think you are made of blood and marrow. The deity is spiritual. Krishna mercifully comes in the form of deity for our benefit. We should always have consciousness that the Lord is sentient. The Lord can, of course, alternate between matter and spirit, spirit and matter." He continued, "We have to be careful of offenses. In the beginning, there are absent minded. We have bad thoughts and commit seva aprats, offenses while serving the deity. But as we progress, there is improvement. Eventually, after some years, our consciousness develops by serving the deity. We can take that consciousness outside the temple and see the Lord everywhere." Now, this is a very high realization, and it came by his sadhana and following instructions of his spiritual master. Once, while speaking in Pune, he said, quotes, "Just serve. Do not try to see God. Act in such a way that He will see you. It might not happen in this life, but by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we can go back to Godhead." Such strong faith on Srila Prabhupada. Now, some may think that why do devotees suffer when they are engaged in Lord service all the time? Well, they don't bother about suffering. They know that Krishna's plan is the best plan. Further, Krishna shows through them examples of how to be a dedicated devotee. We saw the YouTube video of Pankajangari Prabhu when they brought him back to Mayapur. They brought him in front of the Lord Nrsimha Dev, and he was so peaceful, so content, no fear at all. There are so many lessons to be learned from Prabhu's life. His Grace Panchakangri Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Hare Prabhu, for sharing your realization. So, devotees, I would like to share a few words in glorification of Pankajangari Prabhu. Yeah, this is a beautiful flyer Radha Damodar Prabhu put it. So, let me start with the prayers to our spiritual master. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Sakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I mean, so there is a beautiful verse. I mean, I've been thinking about how to glorify Pankajangari Prabhu and what we can learn from his, his divine deeds and his transcendental qualities, that we can apply in our personal life, especially for me. So there's a beautiful verse spoken by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatan Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says, Tuma deki, tuma sparsi, gai tumara guna, sarva indriya phala, is sastra nirupana, meaning by seeing you, by touching you, and by glorifying your transcendental qualities, gai tumara guna, one can perfect purpose of all sense activities. So this is the verdict of all revealed scripture, Sastra Nirupana. So this verse, very clearly telling us that by remembering, by glorifying and sharing the divine qualities and the divine activities of a pure devotees of the Lord, one achieves purification of heart. So this is said in scriptures. So His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu has unlimited transcendental qualities that we hear from his God brothers and so on. And I have been meditating on a couple of them that I would like to share with all of you for my own purification. So that is the idea. So during this COVID epidemic. We have seen many devotees passing away, many people, all over the world passing away. It is very heartbreaking. And even some months ago, we have seen the disappearance of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, one of the most elevated sannyasis. He left us. And now, this week it's Pankajangari Prabhu. It's truly a heartbreaking and a great loss for all of us. It is loss in the sense that we have lost his association. So from this, what we can learn that the body is very temporary and subject to all sort of unexpected disturbances. We hear this all the time. We are not this body, we are spirit, soul. Body is temporary and so on. But when we see these things happen, it really hits hard. So the passing away of the devotees is inevitable. We can clearly see that from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Puranas. Even Krishna makes it very clear in Bhagavad Gita. It's inevitable because we all have material bodies. So due to time factor, Kala, we have been discussing in Bhakti Bhushan and in Bhagavad Gita classes. Kala is in the material world. It is part of the Bhairanga Shakti of the Supreme Lord. So it has a destructive element to it. So it is due to that time the Prakriti gets agitated, the material nature gets agitated, and the Jivas, Jivatmas, they take birth in different bodies based on the karma. Then of course they also die. Death is inevitable in the material nature because of the time factor of the material world. So of course devotees, as a devotees, we have that knowledge that we are spirit, soul, we are Atma, body is temporary, and we recognize the Supreme Lord. We are the process of bhakti by which we connect with the Supreme Lord and we serve Him. So we are not concerned, or we are less concerned about death in one sense. And we feel protected by the Supreme Lord also. But at the same time, we should not take unnecessary risks also, in the sense we should take care of the body so we can serve Guru and Krishna for a long time. That should be the consciousness. The body has to be taken care of. At the same time, we should not cross the line and fully body conscious also. So we have to focus and have a healthy body so we can serve Krishna and his devotees and everyone. But still, if you see, even if you take care of the body, we have to give up this material body, and sometimes it may happen unexpectedly also. And one of my friends who was very healthy, and we lost him for COVID in India. It's unexpected. So we cannot explain. Some of my friends ask me, can you explain this? Why it happens? We cannot explain what happens, why that happens, and why Krishna does that. I mean, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful verse in the first canto itself. Bhishma Dev clearly says it. This is Bhishma Dev is saying that, Mahajan. He says, Nai Ashyak Karichit Rajan Puman Veda Vidit Sitam. I'm just breaking it so you can understand it. O king is addressing, the kings assembled there. No one can know the plan of the Lord. This is Bhishma Dev is saying this. If Bhishma Dev cannot understand the arrangements of the Supreme Lord, what to speak of us? So why we cannot understand the plan of the Lord? Because we are in the material world, so we are affected by ignorance. But with the knowledge that we are not this body, we can understand to some degree that leaving the body is not so significant, because we are going to get another body if you don't have prema, if you don't have love of God. Nevertheless, we always crave for the association of the devotees. So when devotees disappear, then we feel sad, which is very natural because we all are human beings. So that is the nature of the material world also. As I said, the time factor destroys everything in this world. So even when I was thinking about when one becomes very advanced in bhakti, and gets plenty of opportunities to do a devotional service in this material world, still material world is different from spiritual world. Why? Because in the spiritual world there is no disappearance. Everything is eternal. Everything is is eternal in the spiritual world. So there is no concept of death. The time doesn't have the destructive aspect. because we see the internal shakti of the time. I mean, the aspect of the time we see in the spiritual world. So in that sense, devotees prefer spiritual world over the material world. Huh? So His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu is, of course, as his god brothers say, as per the scriptures, the definition is fantastic, and is a pure devotee of Lord Nrsimhadev of Mayapur. Huh? Srila Prabhupada, I mean, when Abhay Prabhu was talking about it, I was thinking Srila Prabhupada purchased, if you read Lilamrita, and some narrations of Prabhupada's pastimes from his disciples, Srila Prabhupada purchased a property in Mayapur in 1971 and 72. Mayapur is a place in Calcutta, West Bengal, and nearby Calcutta in West Bengal in India. 1971 and 72, and he installed, when Prabhupada got the property, he installed a small Radha Madhava deity. I don't think we have it in the picture here, but you see the big picture here. So a small Radha Madhava deity there for worship. And that's Prabhupada's desire. He wants to install the beautiful deities in Mayapur and worship their high standard of worship he wants to establish. And there was no real temple at the beginning. It was just a hut, small grass house. Then a small temple was built. Then the deities were installed in the new temple. Later on, the marble deities. That's what you see here in the screen here. Radha Madhava and Ashtashakis. So Prabhupada, then the big deities came and they installed it. Then Ashtashakis were added. Then Panchatattva were installed. Then, of course, Lord Nrsimhadev deity was installed. So Pankajangari Prabhu and Jananivas Prabhu were there from the beginning as pujaris worshipping the deities, what you see in the screen here. So if you calculate this from 1973 to 2021, which is almost 50 years of personal service to the deities, that is His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu and His Grace Jananivas Prabhu. You cannot split them because they are twins, and the service is also shared, and they both were serving together. Almost 50 years of personal service to the deities of Mayapur. As Abhay Prabhu said, for many years they never left. Pankajangari Prabhu never left Mayapur. Why? So we can clearly see, Prabhuji had great attachment to the worship of the deities. That's another, we can see the great attachment. And another remarkable characteristic for me here is that in this regard is dedication to fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's desires in the worship of deities in the Mayapur Dham, because Archana is a very important aspect of bhakti. And Prabhupada wanted a very high standard of worship, and both Pankajangari Prabhu and Jananivas Prabhu fully dedicated to fulfilling the desires of Srila Prabhupada. So similarly, so we should also aspire for such steady devotion to the Lord. Number one, and the dedication to fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's mission. What is Srila Prabhupada's mission? Is to distribute bhakti, distribute Krishna consciousness for the benefit of everybody in the world. That is Prabhupada's mission. So we need to have steady devotion to the Lord, and we need to have a dedication to fulfilling the Acharya's words as mission of Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya. Of course, Mayapur deities are very special. We all know. Very, very powerful, very potent deities. You pray to them. I approached Pankajangari Prabhu more than 100 times in my last 29 years or so for hundreds of devotees. When they go through problems, I go to him and say, Pankajangari Prabhu, I want you to pray. And very, very, joyfully, very lovingly, he used to pray for so many devotees. If I approached him for hundreds of devotees, think about devotees from all over the world, millions of people, for their welfare. Pankajangari Prabhu prayed to Nrsimhadev, and Nrsimhadev reciprocated to his prayers. So Mayapur deities are very special, and Pankajangari Prabhu is, of course, very special. But we may also have deities at home, or deities in the temple, our temple. So they're also worthy of our worship and attachments. That's the point. So using the example of Pankajangari Prabhu, we should also establish a very faithful service to our deities, the deities that we have access to. Very important. I heard from one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples that Pankajangari Prabhu was not at all interested in getting worship, even though he was praying for everybody and everybody was getting cured or getting whatever they wanted to. But he was not at all interested in getting worship for himself. He was interested in worshipping the deity only. So the best respect that we can give him and the best memory that we can have of him is to follow his example. So we need to be steady in our devotion and our services to the Lord. Very important. The steadiness is extremely important. That's the biggest lesson we can learn in our services. Sometimes when mood is very good, we do a lot of service. When mood is not good, we don't even do any service at all. That's not a steadiness. We need to have a steady devotional service. Whatever service we do, we need to establish steadiness as Pankajangari Prabhu established steadiness in his personal service to the deities. When I was thinking of Srila Prabhupada defines steadiness in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, a verse from 8 to 12 is talking about the process of knowledge, how one can become a good devotee. These are the qualities Srila Prabhupada talks about. Krishna talks about it. Prabhupada writes a brilliant purport. He defines steadiness. Stairyam in Sanskrit means steadiness. That one should be very determined to make spiritual progress in spiritual life. This Prabhupada's exact words. Without such determination, one cannot make tangible progress. Beautiful definition. Of course, Krishna says also, right, when we lose steadiness is the contemplation of sense gratification. When we, contemplation on sense enjoyment or sense gratification weakens our determination. And and so in order to have a very strong determination, we must become very resolute in our purpose. It is an important point. Vivashatmika buddhi. Krishna talks about it. So we can clearly understand from this that the steadiness means not only do we have to be determined, but we are able to overcome the obstacles that come before us in executing the bhakti. People criticize, people find fault in you, people compete with you, people do all kinds of put obstacles in front of us. But we need to, in a Vaishnava way, we need to overcome them. And people ridicule you, badmouth you, whatever it is, right? So whenever there is an obstacle or a test, a devotee does not lose sight of the ultimate goal. What's the ultimate goal? Ultimate goal of actually pleasing Guru and Krishna and going back to Krishna at the end of the life, going back to spiritual life. So that's our sight. We should not lose sight of that. So if we keep that as the ultimate goal and we are fixed on that, then we can overcome the obstacles in a Vaishnava way and make steady progress. So in this way, we can emulate, not imitate, the nice example of His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu as set for us. And this will be the best tribute to him. So steadiness in our devotion and unflinching faith in Srila Prabhupada's words and working tirelessly in fulfilling the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And that's two things that we can take away from the great example of Pankajangari Prabhu. So with that, it's already time. Let's offer our obeisances onto the lotus feet of Dandat Pranam to His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu again and again. And let's pray to him to bestow his costless mercy upon us, so we can serve the Supreme Lord, Radha and Krishna, with unbroken determination and with pure devotion, like how Prabhu served. So that's our prayer to His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu today. So with that, Shripad Pankajangari Prabhu ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Jai. So with that, we'll conclude our program here. So see you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.